Michael Jordan is widely known as the greatest basketball player of all time. During his playing career, he dazzled crowds around the United States and the world with Team USA. Tragedy struck the Jordan family in 1993 when MJ's dad was brutally murdered. As we recall, this tragedy caused Jordan to take some time away from the game of basketball, leading to his first retirement.
I'm very solid with my decision of not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Reason being, I've heard a lot of different speculations about my reasons for not playing, but I've always stressed to people that have known me and the media that has followed me that when I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. It's not because I don't love the game. I love the game of basketball, I always will. I just feel that at this particular time in my career, I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've achieved a lot in that short amount of time, if you want to call it short. But I just feel that I don't have anything else for myself to prove.
Michael was close with his father. It seemed like a picture-perfect family that instilled solid core values and hard work in their children. But like many families across the world, there are also dark secrets buried. Meet Michael Jordan's older sister, Dolores E. Jordan. She has a very different experience on the man many Americans mourned after his death. An excerpt in Dolores' book, In My Family's Shadow, shares a chilling account of the trauma she faced at the hands of her own mother and father starting at age 8. She was a self-proclaimed daddy's girl and was unaware of the signs. Michael was only 4 years of age when the unthinkable began. Ending 8 years after it first began, 5 years after losing my virginity to my father, it scares me to think how much longer the abuse would have went on had I not spit out that dreadful truth to my mother during one of our many heated disagreements. Disagreements that were sometimes anything but pleasant and often featured no indication of love between the two of us. So as she ranted and raved about how no slutty daughter of hers better get pregnant and bring any bastard children into her house, I finally heard myself saying, if I am so much of a slut, why don't you keep your husband out of my bed? When I finally found the courage to let my father's deeds tumble from my lips, I did not know what to expect, but I never in a million years would have guessed that my mother would turn on me. Her words of betrayals did far more damage to me than my father's deeds. They spoke volumes to the fact that she really did not care about me, which my father obviously knew. It is because she was so expressive with her dislike for me that probably made my father know he could get away with violating me. My father confessed his actions on the same day that I disclosed them to my mother, and on that frightful day of admission, I watched my mother looking for a sign, any sign, that she cared about me. The memory of my father whispering in my ear during the wee hours of the night about the beauty of my body has played over and over in my head for many years. And as if that has not been incapacitating enough by itself, having to comprehend the fact that more often than not, he had just gotten out of the bed he shared with my mother to find his way to my bedroom has just added to the realization of the painful situation. For those of you who have not read the book, I'm going to post a link in the description box where you can go order this book. Now man, this story is extremely sad, and it's one that plagues our society in many homes, churches, schools, daycares, etc. I'm not talking about the father only, but also her mother, who refused to intervene or do anything when she found out about what happened. You know, I would say that she should have been up and out of that house at that point. You can't trust that individual. And you know, me as a parent, I would have wanted to do something to the other parent if I had found out something like that happened. You know, because that's crossing so many lines. I don't even want to get into it because it's really upsetting to talk about. Dolores described the encounter as putting her in a weird place throughout her early childhood because of her love for her father. She was unaware of the long-term effects and residual psychological warfare that would occur when it first started at age 8. As she reached her teenage years, she began to understand the ills of the predatory behavior. She mentioned that her father took her outside the home on that fateful day and took her for a car ride, and he stated to her, You were about to tell her, weren't you? And then attempted to make her feel guilty about potentially splitting up the family. Now that's one thing that a lot of these predatory people do. They'll say things like, oh man, you're gonna mess up everything. You don't want your family happy, you don't want us happy. You wouldn't say that because they're not gonna understand you and make you feel like you crazy for trying to get rid of something that's not natural or something that shouldn't be happening. They want to make you feel crazy. Dolores is now a great author and a minister. She has a lot of different things going on at this point. But I just wanted to bring light to this because, and again, Michael Jordan was only 4 when this was happening. He wasn't even aware. He wasn't even old enough to know what was going on. You know what I'm saying? Or really comprehend the severity of things. And he probably didn't see none of this. And Jordan probably had a totally different relationship. This probably never happened to him. So it's crazy how somebody can be a hero to someone and a monster to the next person. And you could be in the same house and have 2 totally different experiences. It's just wild, man. You ask 2 people about the same person, you're going to get 2 different answers. You know what I'm saying? So that's just wild to me. That's wild. Like, thinking about all this time. And what made me stumble across this story is I was checking on the guys in that trial. One of the murderers, he fired his lawyer this week. So when I was looking up that, I stumbled on this story and I was like, what? She wrote this back in 2003? I don't know why I didn't hear it, or I never heard about it, or maybe I did and just forgot. But when I saw it, I was like, what? Like his own daughter? And then I wasn't even going to say nothing about it until she put in her book that he revealed it to the mother, because that means it's just out there. It was so bad he couldn't even hide it. Poor lady, man. She went through a lot. If you get her book, it'll talk about like her demons she had to face. You know, all just building herself back up. Like she went down a dark road after that. Like anybody would that would go through that. You know what I'm saying? And her writing was one of the things that helped her with healing. You know, you never completely get over that because you look at people a certain way the rest of your life. But that was one of her escapes, where she could just write down the painful struggles and kind of relive them through her artistry. And that helped bring her back, man. I feel really bad about that. I feel really bad about that. So that goes to show you, man, like, you never know what somebody's going through. You know, she talked about just Michael Jordan being her brother and how tough that was too. It's an interview on YouTube. You could look it up. It's titled "Michael Jordan's Sister Speaks Out," and you could get it straight from her. Get like details of the story. It just hit me because I'm a man with daughters, and you know, to think for that thought to even cross your mind is something sick, man. You know, considering how we were mourning him when this stuff happened. You know, we was very sad for Michael Jordan. And I ain't saying the situation ain't sad now. I'm just saying, like, whoa, you know, that stuff always hits me hard because it's one of them things so many children go through. I had a lot of children that went to school with me where their fathers was getting them pregnant. Well, I ain't gonna say a lot of children, but I did know some people that was in school with me and their father got them pregnant. And they was expected to come to school and do the work and be the same as somebody who's living, you know, the picture perfect life. So sometimes when I was teaching, I would deal with students differently because I've seen certain dynamics. So you can't just write off a kid when they might be rebelling all the time. You know, you got to talk to them, get them where they trust you, where they can open up a little bit and maybe reveal some stuff to you where you can help a little bit or help as much as you possibly can. I ain't saying, you know, you could save the world, but sometimes you got an opportunity to impact the life and keep somebody just positive enough, because you never know how close somebody is to ending it all or to the point where they just can't keep going on, man. So, hey, I'm going to put a link to her book in the description box. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'm out. Peace.